Yeah, look, everybody, it's Boone the Wonder Dog.
Do not try anything you are about to see at home or anybody else's home. I am not a professional. Hey, thanks for clicking your browser open and clicking to YouTube on my channel to watch one of my mundane and boring videos. As many of you may know by now, the interweb is full of misinformation, mistakes, and outright deception. If you are on my home page, you should have noticed the new banner. Insert new banner. Huh? What? Oh, yes. Well, there's going to be a change, a little attention shifting, as it were, focus shifting. In this video, I'll be tackling one of the biggest debates on YouTube and other sites on the interweb. No, not Chevy versus Ford. No, wrong again. Not Nissan versus Toyota versus Honda. Hey, it's not even open for debate. Anyone with a functional brain knows Trek is better. No, I'm talking about a debate that has raged since about 2 weeks after the internal combustion engine was invented. Well, either by Rudolph Diesel or Nicholas Otto. Then, yes, that is his last name. That is his spelling. Depending on which side you fall on as to the definition of an internal combustion engine. Now, back when I was growing up and learning to drive, there were only two basic choices for gas, high test and regular, and each had their own dedicated pump. Today, one is confronted with multiple pump handles or multiple buttons for different blends of gas. Confusing? Well, it's even more confusing for Tesla owners. Now, how to know which one to choose for your vehicle? That is the question mostly in this video. I'll be giving you the definitive answer to the age-old question. Do you, yes, you, really need high-octane gasoline, which is called premium or high test? Is there any performance benefits for you by using premium gasoline? But before I answer that, a little background on moi. For over 60 years, oh my God, I'm an old man, I have had an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. I've spent hours at the Cuyahoga Falls Library reading magazine articles, encyclopedia entries, researching many topics, normally in the science and technology fields, but also about cars. Unlike today, when any idiot can post anything and call it factual, in those days, articles and books had to go through editors, review editors, and publishers, all of whom could ask questions of the authors. Thus, if something was listed as nonfiction, you could bet dollars to Navy beans that the information was factual. Now, in the age of the interweb, I read posts on many topics with differing opinions. And there's a lot of opinions being disguised as facts. By using critical thinking, I am able to separate the wheat from the chaff. Thus, I did not pull the info in this video out of my hat. Rather than making you all fast forward to the answer, I'll give you the definitive answer right now. Do you need premium gas? Will it benefit you? Maybe. Here's where I'm going to differ from the other experts here. For you to fully understand the answer, we have to go exploring the background of gas and octane ratings. What is an octane number? Well, that's simply the fuel's resistance to knocking. Excessive knocking can lead to engine damage and sometimes outright destruction. Okay, what is knocking? Well, every four-cycle internal combustion engine has operated the same way for over a century. There is the intake stroke, where fuel and air are pulled into the cylinder. The compression stroke, where the fuel-air mixture is squeezed. The power stroke, where the exploding mixture drives the piston down. Then the exhaust stroke, which expels the spent mixture. The higher the compression, the more the engine is prone to knocking. So what is knocking? Well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The fuel mixture is ignited before the piston reaches top dead center. That moment of spark is called timing or timing. Let's go back to the old days. Cars used mechanical distributors, points, and condensers, and dwell to set the timing of the spark plug. Perfect timing resulted in peak performance with high horsepower ratings. Remember this, there will be a test later. If the engine knocked, one had to retard the timing. Hey, chill out. Retard is the correct technical term. Retarding the timing fires the spark plug closer to top dead center. If the knock could not be eliminated, one could play around with different distributor weights and springs or try to use high test instead of regular. Now remember, octane is resistance to knocking. Okay, what's knocking? Okay. Simply put, knocking is the fuel-air mixture detonating too early in the compression stroke. Retarding the timing lessens or eliminates that pre-detonation. Now, back in the day, there were two ways to measure the resistance to knocking. There was the RON and the MON. I'm not going to bore you with the differences. Suffice it to say that the RON was higher, and some gas makers preferred using it as they thought customers would think the higher numbers equaled more performance. Now, in a way, that's where some of the misconceptions arose. Today, the companies are mandated to use a rating that combines the two methods to determine octane so that we can compare apples to apples when determining which octane to use. Trivia fact, the higher the octane number, the slower the mixture burns. Go figure. Before the gas makers had to go to the standard numbers, Sunoco marketed itself as a high-octane racing gas that anyone could buy. Now, predating today's buttons, Sunoco had the blend selector. Regular was 200, or today's 87. Premium was 240, or today's 91 or 92. Then there was the legendary Sunoco 260, the rocket fuel of its day. So great was the legend and the myth that many people mostly believed that if you filled the tank in a VW Beetle, you would end up with, well, now, of course, that did not happen. And no matter how many times that did not happen, people still believed it. People still regularly filled the tanks of their old clunkers with Sunoco 260 because it was racing fuel. Okay, now high test did not make your car run faster, or did it? You see, once the tank was filled with high test, one could go back to the timing light, play with the distributor, and see if they could advance the timing. More advanced without knocking gave the engine peak performance. Normally, the timing was advanced to the perfect spot, giving the best horsepower available. And then drivers would say, hey, my car runs better and faster with high test. But it was not the high test alone. it was the combination of better timing and higher octane. However, this was the birth of the better performance with premium myth. So, what about modern cars without mechanical distributors? Their four-stroke engines still work the exact same way as the older cars, and timing is still important. Computers control the timing with the help of knock sensors. When the computer detects knocking, it retards the timing, chill out, until the knocking stops, then slowly advancing it until knocking is again detected. The driver is unaware of these adjustments. Normally, this only lasts for a very short time, and the timing goes back to its peak setting for better performance. You can see this is a huge advantage over the old mechanical days of set it and forget it, that's it. During the development and testing stages of today's modern engines, engineers, not Scotty, spent hundreds of hours to achieve the perfect balance of no knock timing to ensure the car would perform at its peak at all times and the driver would never be aware of any knocking. Now, that peak performance meant higher horsepower, better emissions, better gas mileage. So why today are there 3 or 4 octane grades offered? Well, it turns out there are a couple of different reasons. One is that old-timey myth of higher octane, better performance. So the companies are giving the consumer what they want, even though they don't need it. 2 is the older computer-controlled car that may suffer from knocking for many reasons, and the driver does need a higher octane rating, but maybe not full-blown premium. And the third comes from something that too many people never read: the owner's manual. It will, in pretty clear language, tell you what grade of gas they recommend, or in some cases, require. I can guarantee all of you that the Corvette Owner's Manual states, in no uncertain terms, that only 91 or 92 octane should be used. In fact, most high-performance cars will recommend premium. Why? Funny you should ask. To get the high performance for which you paid. The engine was developed and tuned to deliver that high performance, and it turns out they needed premium to get it because of the higher compression of the high performance engine. Point of fact, the manual for my SS was pretty clear on the subject. It recommended 91 octane, but went on to explain that a lower octane rating could be used, but there would be a loss of performance and a possible decrease in gas mileage. Thus, there are good reasons for manufacturers to recommend premium. Now, I would ask why one would spend $90,000 or more for a high-performance sports car than cheap out on the gas. So the definitive answer of maybe, do you really need premium? Does it give you a performance advantage or do any advantage at all? Well, what kind of vehicle do you have? If it's a modern, computer-controlled car, and I'm going to say modern, I'm going to say back to maybe 2002 at least. But how old is it? What's its mileage? But more importantly, what does your owner's manual say? So here's the definitive answer for cars built since the turn of the century. At 2000, come on. You get no advantage to running premium unless your owner's manual calls recommends you run premium. If you do not, you will lose performance and maybe gas mileage. So there it is. It's as simple as that. And hopefully, with all the information I've given you, you understand it better now. Okay, well, listen, thanks. This video's gone long. I apologize.